Long before cities, roads, and borders, the land that would become Brazil was covered by endless forests. Towers of ancient trees created a ceiling so thick that sunlight could barely touch the ground. Beneath this green sky, shadows moved slowly, and silence was not the absence of sound, but the presence of something much older than fear. In that silence, the first warning was born. Its name was Boitatá. In the ancient Tupi language, Boi meant serpent and Tata meant fire. Together, they didn't describe simple flames or an ordinary animal. They described a living phenomenon, a creature of light, heat, and will, something that did not burn the forest, but belonged to it, just like the rivers and the wind. Those who claimed to have seen it struggled to explain what it was. There were no scales, no smoke, no sound of movement. Only a colossal serpentine shape made entirely of pulsing light. A body that twisted through trees without touching them, passing through branches as if they were just shadows. The most unforgettable detail, told in every version of the legend, was the eyes. Two immense radiant orbs suspended in the center of the burning form. Some said the eyes were older than the creature itself. Others said they were the only part that truly existed. Staring into them was said to overwhelm the mind, blind the body, and fracture the soul. Across the vast regions of Brazil, the fire of the Boitatá changes its appearance. In the northern forests, it burns like white-hot lightning. In the southern fields, it shines orange, like the slow breath of embers. Some describe it as blue, a cold ancestral fire that gives no warmth, only awareness. But always, it moves silently. And always, it watches. The Boitatá is most often known as the guardian of the forest. Not a demon, not a spirit of evil, but a balance. It senses when humans cross invisible lines, when trees are cut without need, when animals are hunted without respect, when flames are born in places where fire should never exist. This is when it awakens. Stories of encounters follow a shared pattern. A person walks too far into the forest, alone, carrying tools that destroy rather than protect. A small, forbidden fire flickers between roots. Smoke rises slowly, disappearing before it can be seen by the sky. And then, everything becomes wrong. The forest holds its breath. Insects fall silent. Leaves stop moving. Even the air feels frozen, as if it has forgotten how to flow. The temperature changes, not into heat, but into pressure. Breathing becomes harder. The human heart becomes the loudest sound in the world. At first, there is only a faint warmth behind the traveler, gentle, almost comforting. But the warmth grows. It touches the skin without burning. It crawls along the back like invisible fingers. Slowly, softly, a glow begins to form through the darkness. Not ahead, not beside, behind, always behind. When the person turns, they don't see fire. They don't see destruction. They see light so pure and concentrated that the mind cannot understand its shape. And inside that light, two eyes open. They do not blink. They do not judge. They simply exist, burning directly into thought. In older, darker versions of the legend, the Boitatá doesn't always reveal itself openly. Sometimes it hides inside a form of deception. It becomes a fallen tree trunk, glowing softly like dying coals. A harmless ember resting quietly on the forest floor, waiting, patient, silent. A lost traveler, exhausted and cold, discovers the glowing wood and feels relief instead of fear. He believes he has found safety, that other humans were there before him. He kneels. He reaches out. His fingers tremble as they approach the warm, inviting light. In that exact instant, the truth breaks through the illusion. The light becomes unbearable. The warmth becomes violent. And from within the wood, eyes emerge. Not slowly, not suddenly. They simply appear, already watching, already knowing. A brightness so intense it erases thought itself. Not all victims die. This is the cruelest part of the story. Some are left alive. Blind men found walking in circles. Silent women unable to form words. Travelers who return with no wounds, but with eyes that no longer reflect light. Their minds trapped somewhere between the memory of fire and the terror of what they cannot explain. To the indigenous tribes, the story was never told as horror. It was taught as law. The forest was not a resource. It was a living system. Every tree was a pillar. Every animal was a piece of something greater. The Boitatá was not a punishment. It was the reminder waiting in the shadows. Even today, long after satellites mapped the earth and machines began to watch the treetops, strange lights continue to appear. They glide silently through protected forests. They twist above rivers that show no reflection. They vanish when approached. They leave behind no ash, no footprints, no explanation. Scientists call these lights natural gases, optical illusions, or atmospheric reactions. The people who live beside the forest listen quietly to those explanations. They agree, but they still lock their doors when the night becomes too silent. They still close their windows when strange glows appear between the trees. Deep inside places no road can reach, something continues to move, not fast, not violent, not lost. It travels without disturbing branches. It slides through roots without breaking soil. It moves as if it were recognized by the land itself, as if the forest knows its own guardian. There are moments when the forest becomes silent without warning, not because something loud has ended, but because something quiet has arrived. This is when the air thickens, the shadows sharpen, and light begins to exist where it shouldn't. The Boitatá does not roar. It does not chase. It does not hunt. It appears. And when it appears, it doesn't need to explain itself. It doesn't need to be understood. It only needs to be seen once to be remembered forever. Some legends say the Boitatá was born from an ancient fire that fell from the sky before humans learned the language of flames. A ribbon of burning light crossing the heavens, piercing the forest, and sinking into the deepest roots of the world. Not a star, not a meteor. A seed of living fire that never stopped growing. This is why its fire doesn't behave like common fire. It doesn't consume. It doesn't spread. It doesn't destroy what lives naturally. Instead, it moves with intention. It avoids what belongs, and it focuses only on what breaks the balance. It burns without leaving flame. It heats without leaving ash. Hunters and travelers who respected the forest spoke of feeling watched without fear. They felt guided instead of threatened. They described a warmth that comforted rather than scared, as if something ancient recognized those who walked gently among roots and leaves. But for those who entered with greed, axes, and hidden fires, the experience was different. They felt pressure instead of warmth, silence instead of guidance, a presence not beside them, but behind them, closer than shadow, closer than breath. Even now, if you walk into a deep forest far from cities and lights, there may come a moment when the darkness changes, when your shadow no longer aligns with your body, when the air feels thick, when a soft orange glow touches the edges of the trees behind you. In that moment, you may remember this legend, not as a story, not as entertainment, but as a warning. And you may feel the oldest human instinct rise inside your chest, telling you not to turn around. Because some things are not meant to be seen twice. Legends survive not because they are false, but because they carry truths that science cannot measure. They travel through generations like slow fires inside the human mind, quiet, persistent, impossible to erase completely. The Boitatá does not need belief. It does not demand faith. It does not ask for rituals. All it requires is memory. And as long as the forest stands, and as long as humans walk beneath its branches, the light of the fire serpent will continue to move silently through the roots of the world. Thank you for watching. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories and guardians of our world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the next exploration.